Senior Maintenance Prosecutor here in Western Cape. I'm continuing the trainings on behalf of Justice College. You will not hear me for this next 3 days. Miss Monica de Mine is on her way. She will take us from 11 and deal with some with ITC and some business investigations surrounding ITC. Although I will try and tackle some other issues in cooperation with you, and obviously from the floor, people, you are the people who have been in this position for a long time. These guys of you that surely have been, I know of some of you that has been in these positions as long as I have been in mine, which is close on 20 years. So surely by now you should be able also to teach others from your experience. You must have seen, ample in your past couple of years, and also to assist others as to how to. So it's a work session in that sense. So please contribute if you can. It is much appreciated. Let's learn from each other. What I also said to the other training in Limpopo is it's hard for me to ask people to come and lecture for me because of the specialized work that you're doing. It's not like you're not like a police officer. They take statements. They send firearms to ballistics. They send DNA to the lab where it's getting tested and they receive the result back and they file it. Yes, they interrogate you, perhaps to try and get information from them, which is something you might do now and then as well. But that's about the only area that overlaps with a police officer. Your work is far more specialized in the sense that it's forensic investigation. So maybe this somebody who specializes in that should be able to teach you more in the business sense. But it is also not so easy to get a hold of those people and to try and find them and to say, come and give us some, lectures on this matter. Hence, Ms. Nkumani will come and share with you what she has discovered with the ITC and investigating, working with the senior prosecutor in Joburg on matters. So you can perhaps tap in from there. And people, if you know of somebody that you think should be able to give you training that is more, if I can put it like that, please let us know so that we can investigate in that sense. Some of you that have been at the Indaba would have seen Mr. Wilson from FNB. I contemplated on calling him. However, I felt that maybe in the future, but he is also very technical, if I can put it that way, in the sense that, compile a Section 205 subpoena in this or that way. And that's where he's going to leave it, because he doesn't know the intricacies of maintenance and maintenance investigations in that sense. So it's not, for me, it's not going to help you if he gives you a lecture like what is done at the Indaba. You've heard that. Most of you've heard that. You've been there. So for him to come and repeat that is not taking us anywhere. So we're going to have to work closer with him to see if we can develop something perhaps for the purposes of yourselves, for maybe next year and so on. So please help us in the sense, if you know of people that you've worked with in different banks, in different companies, so that we can investigate and try and compile a more advanced training for maintenance investigators for people that have got many years of experience like yourselves. Meanwhile, as I'm saying, let's see what we can get done in the next couple of days, because I know you have problems. I'm convinced that not all of you have access to ITC. I'm fairly convinced that we have problems with regards to ID cards, although that we can't arrange this week. But I will talk with Mr. Moana in contact with Jerry Mawani in Justice in in head office to see if he can't perhaps come down to arrange something for you. So we're trying to sort out logistical issues as well, as far as we can. That having been said, if you have issues on the IBC, if there's something specific that you are not sure how to do, and you know who the authority should fall on to complete the same, unfortunately, this is not the forum. Neither me nor you nor Monica can help you with that. That is to be taken up with your office, with the regional office, and taken further from there, specifically with the people working on IPC and the powers to be. Because I do believe there's issues with regards to workflow and who should do what and the amount of work that we're dealing with. So in that sense, you know, that is not why we're here to this couple of days. We're here to install some issues with regards to investigation and get that correct in law, because again this morning I got an email where future maintenance is applied totally in law. And I struggle to understand why, seeing that I've been around trying to do training on future maintenance for such a long period of time. But hence things are going to be repeated again. Maybe there are issues that you still have that you haven't seen clearly because of me not explaining it clearly. I appreciate that. Hopefully when one teach, you become more aware of what you say and how you say it, and try to say less and more concise so that you can bring across the crux of the matter to people, rather than, you know, saying, you know, talk for half an hour and you're confusing people more than summarizing in 5 minutes as to the crux of the matter. So I think, you know, remember for all of us, it's a learning curve. You know, none of us, I didn't start, I never studied to be a teacher. I just like maintenance and I like transferring the little bit of knowledge that I've gathered. That's all. Also, I feel that it's my duty because I'm not going to be here much longer before I retire. So it is my duty to see that you guys take the baton and run with that and make this country a better place for everybody who's living here. And that is what I'm trying to do here, is to transfer my passion for my work and my country to you, and also for you to also perhaps in some sort of a way motivate you to think more of where you are and what you can do. And because that's the other thing that I have found is, for one or other reason, but maybe I've been now transgressing, so pardon the old lady. Maybe for one or other reason, maybe one don't see yourself as reaching a lot of heights in your life. You think you are just an average person in an average town that's trying to do an average job to try and feed your children and look after your family well. And I'm thinking, then when I say to a person, I hope you're not going to stay an investigator forever, are you studying? What are you doing? Because, and then they will say to me, do you see potential in me? People, yes, I do. In each and every one of you. I get emails from you. And you do such great work. See yourself as more is the other thing I'd like to say. And study. And you know, go and do more things, hold positions in higher places. You can contribute such a lot. Don't see yourself as not good enough. Always see yourself as a wonderful person that can do things to make a difference. Because you can. Trust me, you can. You can do anything you want. That I can also guarantee. What you set your mind on, you can do. Are you good? Well, I just started. So, you know, think about where you are, and if you have gained such knowledge, and I know you have, then think if you shouldn't apply for something else where you can make a bigger difference. I'm not saying you're making a huge difference at the moment. Investigators is absolutely, without you, I'm nothing. It is what it is. If I can't get that information, and especially like, for example, from something like ITC, and I can't get it, it's not possible for me in any way. It's not possible. I don't know. Well, I don't have access for starters. And secondly, even if I have, the little bit that I've seen from Monica the past 2 weeks, I know so little that, I have to write everything down and I have to follow a recipe every time. Whilst you guys that have worked with it, it comes natural after a while. And I can still look at this and I can still look at this and I can see if I can do this or that or the other. So, you make a huge difference, but what I'm trying to say is never underestimate your own contribution that you can make, and perhaps somewhere else. If it's not for you, it is not. I always say to people, like women have children. You've got children, perhaps, and you need to be close to them. So it's not. You do not see yourself in a position where you want to travel and be the director of a specific department or whatever, or the regional head or something like that, or director legal or be it what it may. And that's also good because you're making a huge difference. I mean, I've been in my position for a long time and I've got no urge to leave because I like it. I like doing what I'm doing. So, but I want you to understand that if you see potential in yourself, to summarize it like that, and aim for the stars. Yeah? So do that for us. So I don't remember how I got that today, but anyway, that's me. So let's see what we can work up this week. I hope that you're going to take away some to be more in your job where you are currently. Between Monica and myself and Dion and Munwabisi, who's also, assisting us, Mr. Mawani, with the administrative issues in the Western Cape. So let's see how we can progress this week and make ourselves more. With regards to the program, I'll start off with simple things like duties and who do you report to. That people, I think, probably everybody in the room knows, but I'll run through that quickly this morning. Together with a couple of other things, I want to start off gathering information as to who has got ITC problems and who hasn't, and also with regards to the ID cards, maybe gain the information so that we'll not basically take that further. There's a couple of admin issues that we will deal with this morning. I'm awaiting the documentation and the register from Justice College. That should arrive through the course of the morning, latest tomorrow, although she said she sent it off already on Friday, so I gather early yesterday, I can't remember. But anyway, it should arrive soon, hopefully today. We'll deal with that. House rules, phones on silent, please, people. I'd appreciate that. And then we'll have some tea by 11 and lunch by 1. And we will morning guys come in, take a seat. And then we will break here by between 3 and 4 sometime. There are people driving in. Can we start at 9? Will that be good?
Yeah.
For the drive? That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. We'll start at 9. Okay. So let's go around the room with introductions, just perhaps. before we hit off. There's something I've forgotten? Okay, let's start here with introductions. Who you are, people loud and clear, name, you know, speak up, like me.
Colleagues, I am Tapelo Oliver from the Armed Forces.
Dar, they say, me. Apparently it's the heart, it's not the heart.
Good morning. I am Tumafana from the Magistrate Border King.
Morning, colleagues. I'm the Service Secretary, Hadasham Minister Martin Kimberly.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Thomas. I'm an assistant principal. I'm from the Atlas Ministry in
Good morning, colleagues. I am Chris Snell, Legislative Court Kimberly. Kimberly and Kimberly and Kimberly. Not meant Kimberly. But also by issue with Legislative Court.
Good morning, everyone. Michael Forces also had Magistrate Court.
Good morning, everyone. Michael Solomon from the Legislative Court, Prince Albert.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Zola I'm from Kaiti Chapel. Good morning, colleagues. I'm Matthew Nochoko from Tazuleva Kingdom's Court.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Veronica, Magistrate Court, and
Good morning, colleagues. Where do I start? Martin Snyder's portal of Magistrate's Court. Thank you. Good morning, my dear friends.
Leonard Mokosi from Magistrate Mochibi State in Malakir.
As Parker Magistrate's Court,
Good morning,
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Mrs. Yokopi from the Federal Cluster stationed at the Magistrate's Court.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Michael Rockwood from the Municipal Court in Port Elizabeth.
I've seen now the faces of people who are going now I know who you are. All of you guys are here to catch me. I specifically came here for you. Nice to meet you.
All right, send a list around so that people can get each other's contact details. That is obviously also a good idea because you're always looking for one another to assist. So start prepping a list with cell numbers and codes that you can make copies for everyone from. I'm sure we can get some assistance from the people at the offices close by.
Yes.
Morning, everybody. Luckily, but we also Manas, either or, Edinburgh.
Good morning, colleague. Richard Marcella, second investigator at Kimberly.
So there's a shared liability here.
Morning, colleagues. Cyril Zugisa saying, let's say Professor.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Eugene Howard.
Morning, colleagues. One Isaac from Sierra's Magistrate's Court. And guys, David Clausen, Service West. Morning, everybody. Eugene Sidras, Doho.
Welcome, colleagues. My name is Dion Hartett. I'm the senior maintenance prosecutor at the NPA, and welcome to Northern Cape, Mr. Hockman. At last, I meet you. I've heard a lot about you, so I'm happy to see some of the people that I've been communicating with over the years. At last, thank you so much, Stefani, for getting all of us over here together and to just know one another, know what you've been doing behind the scenes.
That in itself is a job and a half.
I know. That's why I want to be before Wednesday. Get to it where I say thank you to you. For all
No,
that
thank
you
you. It's not necessary. You're right. I do it for the love of the job.
But welcome everyone.
All right. Okay, guys. So let me ask like this. Can you please take a folio page for me? Tear it in half. Okay. On one half, you're going to put your information down for me if you have got problems with your ITC. You're going to write ITC and you're going to put your information down, which I'm going to say. On the other half, if your ID card you haven't got, lost, faded, whatever, I also need your information. The information I need on both is full names. I need your ID number. I need your parcel number. And I need your email address.
We need a subpoena from you. The Copy Act is protecting that information.
Okay, yes, no, I should have said that. People, I promise I will not throw this in the bin. It goes home with me, I shred it. I am, very scared to put any personal information, even my own. I carry it up like small pieces. I am a little bit paranoid with regards to personal information. I will not let it lie around in the hotel, I promise. Okay, so 2 pages. The one is when you're having a problem with your ID card. It must be faded or lost, or you must have never received one. Perhaps you should indicate that on that one half. And the other half will be the ITC. Mark it also clearly. If you have got a problem in logging onto or into ITC at the moment, you need to give me 2 papers or 1, depending on your problems. Your information is your full names, your ID, your parcel, your email address, and your phone numbers preferable. As I'm saying, it's not for this or that or the other, and probably with the ID cards. I think he said ID and parcel is fine. But it's better that people know where to contact to get a hold of you. No use they can't get a hold of you when they're looking for you to try and fix the ID cards. And the same with the ITC. So, half a page, have you got no problems with either one of them? That is fantastic.
Can I just want to welcome Mr. Abrams?
Indeed so. And Mr. Abrams is from Victoria West. Notorious.
Dankie meneer Snijders voor het
Dank u, meneer.
But there will be station as well.
I think it's a good idea. Thanks, Issy. Yes, I think so. People at your office. So it's basically your whole pedigree, yeah. People, I must apologize. Some of you I know better than others. Please keep it with you. I'm going to collect each, from you. I'll come around and collect. Make them separate for me. I want to take the ID cards and the ITC separate. There. And you mark them clearly. ITC, ID cards. And you've got full names on there, parcel, ID, email address, phone numbers, and your office.
Are you talking about ITC giving us problems now or all the time? Or because on
It's specifically now. It might be on and off, but as long as you can log in and your password and everything is fine, I don't need your information.
problem between I know honestly, the ask you set the password,
Yeah.
but it does not go through email.
It's an internet connection problem.
Just check the spell.
Oh.
No, it wasn't my spell machine.
No, because after 1906 and 1906.
Internet problem.
Internet problem.
Always.
Also check with Mr. Abrams whether he can supply you with a table. For the internet problem.
I don't know, but Mr. Fanny Erasmus, I have a problem with the Northern Free Trade. You're on my case. I don't know why. You're on my case. I think you're allowed to come. You're on my case.
Do you want to move to the Western Cape?
No, man. But I'll move back home to the Oh, Mr. Saul just realized that it doesn't have any toothpaste, it just purifies. But he should be better.
Ek gaan meer saal se merk sien. Maar dankie. Dankie. Ja, ek tel kan vir ons toepas gee.
Ek gebruik sê dit
Soos ek sê, ek sal meneer Saal na die brood sien buite by die wagteria. And that's what I wanted to say. People, I apologize. I know some of you better than others because of the many complaints I'm getting from certain people. So, you know, obviously them I learned to know fairly well, even though it might be on email only. No, I'm not. I'm lying. I always, it's no problem. I actually like it when you ask me something. That's what you need to do. All right, full names, ID person, email address, phone numbers, office. One marked ITC, one marked ID card, depending on whether you have trouble with it. ITC specifically with regards to getting logged in. In other words, if there's a problem, you know, with regards to logging on, if I can put it that way, especially continuous, and then the other for an ID card, if that is faded or lost or never received.
I use a 3-4. You don't look like you sound. And you look at
Don't worry, I'll get this. This is like when you investigate, you feel like so you have to.
Okay, guys, do you hear this? They say if you receive your ID card, have it laminated because that will make it last longer.
not the ordinary lamination. You see the driver's license plastic?
Yeah.
Those kind of lamination. It's hard plastic, but it can be very easy. It's like durable, as you say.
Where do you do it?
It's obviously a place that does lamination, but will you ask them for specific plastic perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay, so you ask them for the plastic that they use for driver's licenses. The harder one can put it that way. I also learned something today. See, you're already learning something today. Okay, post it. People, easiest, here it is, they say easiest place is post it. Alright, and you should have post-its around in most towns. Okay, is everybody done with those? Alright, let me first gather ITC. So you can't copy.
Morning.
Can't log in, madam. Can't log in. ITC? ITC. ITC, alle stories. ITC. Ja.
I'll explain these one. So, whenever you have things for PE, you will only have done it. So it covers a certain part of PE. I cover a certain part.
ITC's hierso. ITC's, allemaal hierso, nou is met ITC, ITC, no problem, ITC, no problem, ITC, no problem, ITC, no
Hij ziet kantoor. So there's no office functional
Morning, how are you today? Shock. ID.
You also went to buy toothpaste.
You can take a seat, and if you've got troubles with your ITC or your ID card, please put your information on it. IDs? Well,
Your mind is wasn't always always be the certain criteria. So, but this is your policy.
Ek hoor net 'n tande pas te
Problem. That's probably everyone to explain to them.
ID? ID?
I said, you know what?
Jy nie ITC kies.
I know this is
Nee, maar dan sê ek dan vir as
telling you.
nee, maar dit verstaan ek. IDs?
Explain to you. Takes too long. MTR. It takes too long. So you have types of
dis die ID's en hy moet dit nou met Jenny vir my. So sal ek daai by jou los van weet jy dit sou miskien 'n goeie idee wees dat ons net of die ander ding is miskien net 'n ander woord vir die naam want ek kan altyd baie gister gaan so miskien dit sal net 'n lysie net so die naam is al goed Morning, guys. If you have got ITC trouble or a private or no ID cards, please put the information fully on the one page each for whatever you have trouble with. Your full names, your ID number, your passport number, your phone number, your email address, and your office.
He calls me when he needs
and you can paraphrase depending on what you have trouble. You can't log into ITC, half page for ITC, and if you don't have an ID card, half page for the other one. I don't know what.
You remember
But
that
you have what you have.
one?
Okay. Why are you so many?
Was an MI. And the doctor recommended that.
Most of you, this is old news, so I apologize beforehand. Maar dan zal ik nou maar, dan zal jij nou maar moeten deel.
So I can make copies.
Officially. Independent, officially.
Stefanie, I can go downstairs and make copies myself.
Sal hulle, laat ek sien hoeveel skoor jy op.
Okay.
Kyk, ek kan soos ek vir sien, dan kom net 20 mense. En ek het meer gebring, maar ek het dalk nie gedoen. Sodat ek jou eers skep, dis nie die, hoe die duties in
The way that they and the way that they apply your experience doesn't accommodate your number of experience posted. So let's say you know, so I've got 20 years experience in the post, right? But it's only going to so all the experience prior to that point, they don't in terms of OSD or anything, right? But in terms of the new regulations,
has everybody got? See me, I've got enough.
in order to retain your skills and critical skills.
Alright guys, I want to run through a couple of things that is done.
And there's also
All news for you. So pardon me for that.
This is one of the other.
I will give you ideas, but they don't bring it down.
And what is the implementation? The practice?
They're not doing it.
They don't?
Alright. Let's not start at the front. Okay. It's a copy of the section 8 of the maintenance. Actually, you should know by now what that is. But for if there is some uncertainty, when we are in need of information that is safeguarded by Copy Act. Okay? In other words, you can't just go and say, Bank, I'm looking for Advocate Dion Reuters' bank accounts for the past 6 months. Then they can tell Mr. Stefani's got nothing to do with you. It's his personal information. You can't have it go away. Then, irrespective of who I am. But, and that, what is it? That privilege supplied by the Constitution initially, a right to privacy, is then also contained in the Copy Act that came into operation not too long ago, where it says you cannot have somebody's information from a third party. The bank is a third party. I cannot have Advocate Reuters' information. I cannot ask for that from a third party. I must supply a very good reason, and only in certain circumstances can I have it. And that is what the Copy Act says. In a summary manner. If I can summarize the Copy Act for you, that is what the Copy Act says. Copy Act says it's private information. You cannot have his bank accounts. You cannot have his phone numbers. You cannot have his contact details for where he works and what he's earning and where he's residing. It is private information, ID number, parcel number probably, things like that. You cannot have its private information. But the Poppy Act goes on to say that in certain circumstances you can have, and if my memory serves me correctly, Dion, maybe you can help me here, it is in section 12 of the Poppy Act. Is there somebody that knows the Poppy Act well? Okay, it's in section 12, where it says, by way of court order, if necessary in a court case, you may have that information in certain circumstances. That is what the Poppy Act says. That is Poppy Act summarized for you. And you need to know that, because people will tell you, you can't have this. Okay? And even when you send them a Section 8 subpoena, they will say, no, you can't have that in terms of the Poppy Act. Then you need to know, to point out to them that in fact Poppy Act allows for information to be requested by way of court order. John, kan jy vir my daai kyk, het jy die Poppy Act naby?
Ja, ek sal nog.
Maar kyk net vir my, ek verbeel my is artikel 12.
Okay.
Is it article 12? Okay, it is section 12 of Poppy Act. Nee? I don't know, Asif is checking. Yeah, no, it's section 12. Otherwise provided for in subsection 2, it is not necessary to comply if the information is contained or delivered from public record or has deliberately been made public. In other words, if you gave the information yourself, né? The data subject, and you see that is what is the Zuma case is about, that first one. The data subject or a competent person where the data subject is a child has consented, not a child, is a child, consented. Collection, not prejudice, the interest collected of the information is necessary to avoid prejudice and to comply with the obligation imposed by law, legislation, for the conduct of proceedings in any court, there it goes. For the conduct of proceedings in any court or tribunal. It is, in fact, 12 to D Roman 3. So it's 12 to D Roman 3. That I's with doinkies. I in brackets. Nee? Roman 3. Thank you very much. Alright. So it says if necessary in court proceedings you can have it. Now section 8 says before or during an inquiry. Read, I printed it for you. You can read it because I don't think you've ever read it. There. First time. And I made it simple because I put only section 8 on one page so that you are forced to read it. Next. Oh, sorry, excuse. Question. Let's hear the question and see if I can answer it. In other words, say I'm the bank, and I say because I know you, I'm prepared to give advocates' writers information to you. I think there's some the Poppy Act will have some consequences for that. It will probably be in the form of a civil suit for information that has been made public that should not have been made public. In other words, you can have civil liability or liability in a civil suit, in a civil matter. So that will probably be the what is the word I'm looking for? The consequence of you releasing that information without court order. But Section 8 then provides that before or during an inquiry, that information may be obtained. A magistrate, and it says a magistrate there, so it is the magistrate, and you know that Section 8 has got two parts. In fact, there is a couple of Section 8s on the pages thereafter, which are not purporting to be the be-all and the end-all, and I think there is some omissions from there that I can already think of at least one, because you learn as you go along. You can see the first part is where the maintenance officer applies to the court for the court to grant this court order. That is your top part. The maintenance officer saying that on this day, a person who has knowledge of certain circumstances must appear before court to give information in this specific case, and the following information to be given. And then it goes to the magistrate, where the magistrate then issue an order to say, yes, I agree. Please, on that date, so-and-so from that bank or that company must appear before me or another magistrate to be examined by the maintenance officer or the prosecutor, because he is in a position to give financial information or information on whereabouts the following is necessary. And then, very important, that last paragraph, where it says that should the information be supplied prior to that date, furnish the required information to the satisfaction of the maintenance officer prior to the date which he is required to appear before me or another magistrate. He or she shall not be under any further obligation to appear before me or another magistrate. Which means, number one, that you guys need to follow up on your Section 8 students, which is a huge responsibility because you've got a lot of them. So maybe we can have at this stage from the floor, how do you keep track of your Section 8 students? Because you're going to have to, especially certain ones. I believe some banks will even maybe after give you the information if you say, hey, I haven't received this on the specific date, they will make good keep. But not everybody is like that, and for certain Section 8s, you're going to have to keep track to make sure that you can warn like 2 or so days prior to say, listen, I haven't got this yet. If you don't supply it, I'm going to ask for a warrant for your arrest. That works wonders. Trust me, I've done that. Just like that, the information arrives. But it's easy for me, my ivory tower, because I work only with 2 or 3 cases, very specifically where complainants keep on complaining. Okay? So, but it's not so easy for you, because you've got lots.
So, Mr. Van, the problem is some institutions do not want to give you the HR managers that you could experience states will be subpoenaed. So now, then you might just say HR.
That's a problem.
So this is the problems that we are facing sometimes. They do not want to declare who the line management is. So what do we do in circumstances? Who do we then, what happens if they don't give us the documentation? Who do we take it down?
That's the problem. You have to have a name. I'll go as far as to, I don't know, Dion, you can help me here. I'll go as far as to say that if there's no name on that thing, it's not proper. Yeah. It's like a summons without the ID or a subpoena without the ID. It's not proper.
There's a norm in the Northern Cape now that the magistrates once a week on the Section 8.
Yeah.
But now we're sitting with another problem where you have those emails, the Section 8. And now the magistrate doesn't want to sign the Section 8 because there's no name on it. You don't know who you is.
But you see, that's why you are investigators. You're supposed to obtain that. I understand that it might not always be easy.
It goes to center.
Yeah,
okay, ABSA.
Yeah.
Example.
ABSA, and Sanlam is one of the people as well.
Oh my God.
Okay.
In that sense, why do you not put the name of the, that is a possibility, your local bank's bank manager?
And I forward a suggestion. For the case of EPSA, for example, put Eunice Beloy. Eunice Beloy, if it needs you to put, I've never put a name to any subpoena. I get the information. It might be different for you guys in the Western Cape. But I can say to you, for EPSA, it's Eunice Beloy. She deals specifically with those things, right? And, with Sanlam, so Sanlam is a little bit tricky because
People, are you writing?
Yes.
they always have different rules that apply to them. My way of doing it is to go either by way of phone call or to visit the specific office, establish who's the person who's responsible for dealing with that function. So each bank has a dedicated person dealing with subpoenas, for example, court processes. So now when you establish a good relationship with that person, it's not even needed for you to put that person's name, but should it be, put their name. They will then send it to their legal advisors, who will then give them the directive to submit the documents. So that's.
Well, I must say, I've always only compiled my subpoenas like that, and the magistrate has never, told me to put a name.
So on mine, I will put, let's say it's Long Street Standard Bank. So then I'll say the manager Standard Bank, Long Street, Cape Town. Serve it on the branch, alternatively email it to the legal section that's responsible for it. They will submit it. Remember, the subpoena says, or in those interim intakes that we do, they must give a reason as to why they are not capable of giving the information. Ours is to instruct them by way of service that they must give the information. In the event that they don't give it, they must submit reasons. Their reasons we then forward to the MO, to the magistrate, and then moves on from there.
Yeah, because that reasons is either satisfactory or not, and that is hence the layout of the law, because you need to see that reason. Is that good enough for me to let him go, to not have him appear on the day?
And failure to submit reasons, they must appeal to court.
Absolutely.
Failure to appeal
Yes,
to
because
court,
that's just not good enough.
failure to appeal to court, then
Yeah.
warrant.
I agree with you, because many a time an investigator will tell you, they say they don't know. People, if somebody say they don't know, ask them to appear in court to be cross-examined by the witness officer before the magistrate. You got that, for example, in cases where you might want to establish the address of somebody working residing overseas for a reciprocal matter there from his mother. No, I don't know his address. It's her son. I don't know where in the UK is he. Nee? People, that's not good enough, sorry. Laat die tannie maar hof toe kom, want ons hoor wat sê sy by die landbouws.
That's a J150? Subpoena the witness?
Yeah.
Use the J150 to subpoena the witness.
Yeah, but you don't need to subpoena the witness. This is the subpoena for the
No, I'm
witness.
referring to your reciprocal maintenance aspect where the mother.
Yeah, but it's easier for me to issue the Section 8 because then she needs to appear if she says, I don't know. Because if it's a witness subpoena, witness in what case? Where does the case come from? Because there is no case here. Because that's your other problem.
Yeah.
So Section 8 just serves the purpose so much better there. Yeah, so I hear what you say. As I'm saying, I've never been asked to submit a specific name for a manager. The problem comes when you serve. There must be a name of the person who you serve on. Although these days, now, as you will see right at the back, I have attached the list of contacts that my investigator at Johannesburg has compiled. I think some of you will know her, Ms. Woodley. You might use, some of that. You might use all of that. Well, I don't think all because there's lots of Johannesburg municipalities on there and things like that you won't need. But some of the others you might use very productively because we now seldom serve on the branches of the banks anymore. Everything goes via email. But still, you need to push on the bank, return that, or prior to return that. Because otherwise you're never going to get your requested, bank statements. And this is what I'm wanting from you. How do you keep track of those ones, especially the very important ones, when diaries. Okay, so you've got a diary that has got the case written down with the return date. How is others doing that? Similar?
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
I just noticed from my colleague here, the circular information in our document is different from their sources. They keep your more.
Is it cut? I'm sorry, let me replace.
Me and my colleague here,
How many is missing? I've got a couple of extras. Let's see. There's 4 pages. Who hasn't got 4 pages? I'm sorry. Anybody else? Oops. Am I gonna run out? Leon, jy sal dalk vir my moet gaan hier koppies maak. Let me see. Leon,
How many do you need?
wat ek gaan sê. Okay, asseblief. People, can I have a show of hands? Whose sources haven't got 4 pages? I'm very sorry about that. Can I let a hoog hande sien? Hi people, hi in the air, hi in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I apologize, guys. Dit lyk my dis 12, 2 bladsye. Dit sal seker, weet jy, daai een lyk my slag afgekat op net. Where's that one bad one? Let me see how it looks. Dion, dis alles, dis die eerste 3 bladsye.
So, kan nie die laaste 3 bladsye.
Die laaste 4. Yes, sir. Hierdie. Daai ene en hierdie ene. Almal het hierdie ene. Maar hulle kort daai 3. Ek dink hierdie is ook alright. Kort daai ook. Ja, dis afgeskryf. Daai is fine. Daai is fine. So dis net hierdie 3. Dis daai hierdie een en hierdie een. Dis die eerste 3 bladsye van die sources. Dis die belangrikste. Sorry about that, guys. It's the most important part was the rest you know. My apologies for that. Okay. Anyway, let's Leon will arrange for us. I think it was 12, no?
Okay. I'll just wait for 15, just in case.
Okay, just for interest. I'll displace the card. Okay. So diarize people. People have indicated that they're diarizing. Is that what everybody does? Okay. Because it is very important. People, I've seen that work wonders. If you can just, don't wait for the last day. Just give it a day or 2 prior to that return date. To write an email to say, your return date for submitting A, B, and C to me is coming up in 2 days' time. I still have not received it. Kindly, comply or take note that you will have to appear in court to explain. Alternatively, a warrant for arrest may be issued for yourself.
This time frame of requesting that information is not included in your performance agreement because it should be a measurement criteria. There's a question for the floor. In my PMDS agreement, I put it there because I structured it myself as to time frames. Because you must remember, how are you going to be able to illustrate how it is that your work is measured? So let's say, for example, you say the criterion is to receive that information 2 days or a week before the court date, right? So that's a norm. But if you have information within a day or 2, that's sort of above the norm.
Yes,
so now you can illustrate now in that way how you've gone above the norm in order for yourself to be awarded this 4 or a 5. Because if you're going to just stick to, let's say, for example, what we say, now let's do it 2 days before the time, but you don't have it in your agreement. When you sit down with your court manager, who it is you are supposed to be reporting to, not an admin officer, but we'll get to that point, then you'll be able to say, look here, I've done this faster than the norm. There is no way in which you can give me a 3 which is satisfactory.
Yeah, that's good, that's a good idea.
And then now you know you've got targets. And you do that with each and everything, whether it be a service, whether it be information that you must receive, etc., etc. That's just a tip for, because I don't know how you guys are doing it, but that is one way of articulating your work.
I think you're right, and I think most people just settle with, I work hard in anyway, and they never give me anything, so I'll just proceed and work hard. But I agree with you, sit down, and if that is the case, that you can deliver over and above, and you can prove that, like, he told you. I think do that, people, because it's a little bit of motivation for yourself as well, Nick.
I just want to stand on that because, sorry guys, I have to stand on that, everybody can see. Because I've been in fortunate position of working at many different offices, with many offices under me in different clusters, etc. And I've always been in a position to get PMDs. This is the easy thing for you to do because you have all the information ahead. The only thing that it requires from you is to be proactive and to articulate your work. So, for example, how are you going to motivate in that regard? Of let me say, it's 2 days prior, but you've done it within 2-3 days. Now you've got all the information: face number, party details, what that entailed, how you went about doing it, and what was the objective. I just want to emphasize that as a motivating tool for you guys because you can get this PMDs. It's very easy for you as an investigator. It's up to you. It's like you're running your own business. How are you going to make a lucrative profit? You have to push. So see your PMDS bonus as that profit that you can get. It just requires you to be proactive.
The only other thing is, in personal experience, it's all after hours job that. Because during daytime you're running around like a person as in your job. So if you want to put that information down for your assessment, that you do after hours. Unfortunately. But that's then why you get the little bit extra pay. Because that I can tell you as well, as a prosecutor. I never had time to work on, what did I call that?
Incidents.
Incidents during work time. I have never had that privilege in my life. To this day, I don't have that privilege. Now I don't worry about it. But if you have time to work on incidents during work time, you in any way do not qualify for merit. Sorry, I'll tell you. Is what it is. Then you don't have enough work. So
it depends as to which regional office.
probably, if you are at a very small office and you've got every afternoon off, you're going to have a hard time explaining.
Most of us are actually I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't either anymore.
So, yeah, I think this game.
Yeah. No, I understand what you say. On the other hand, as investigator, you probably and are not sitting at one little office like this. But then you have got 15 little offices as we speak, and in that sense, you're in any way inundated, undoubtedly. But as I say, what I can tell you, and seemingly others as well from experience, is that as a prosecutor who has been inundated in my life, I have never had the privilege of sitting at the office during incidents. It was always after hours. And after hours, preparation for court for me. So, if you are a person who works hard and do over and above, because that will then be my other advice to you. Go and spare the extra half an hour or hours on a day and sit down and do that. Because I was also there where I didn't do it initially.
Sorry, ma'am, pardon me, interrupt you.
Yeah.
In terms of the current directive from the powers be, there is no budget for those.
Yeah, but they still give. They still give small portions.
There's the,
They still give small portions.
We thought that the food is now
They
level,
don't know.
nobody's getting, so, because this was used in incentive. Or what do they call it now? To personalize, not solely based on a performance. Now that it is no budget, we thought that the playing field now level, nobody's getting it.
Now, I can actually explain that one to you. So you have 1% of the office budget is dedicated towards PNDS rewards. 1.5% of the office budget is towards progression, which is your pay progression. So don't let the manager tell you that there is no money. No, it's 1% of the office budget. The office budget may have been reduced from one financial year to the next because of underutilization.
So less people will get.
So less people will get. But the policy hasn't changed. It's 1% of the office budget towards PMDS rewards, and then 1.5% of that is towards notch progression. That's why you always see you get notch progression because that's a small amount, right? But the grade progression or the PMDS rather, that one less people get because the office, not because people don't get it, but because the office budget is reduced. You get what I'm saying? So if your CM or area court manager is not wanting you to go to do a case to safeguard his budget, what he fails to realize is at the end of the financial year, if he has not spent his money as per what was given to you, they're going to reduce his budget. You understand? So you need to push for you to be able to do your thing so that the budget stays up.
Alright. Okay, so to notify people who you serve with the Section 8s timeously so that you can make sure that you receive your information on time. And that if it is not there, that you can tell them that you're going to proceed to the magistrate to ask for a warrant if they don't appear in court to explain why they have not supplied you with this information. People, the thing where I have found that to be, how can I say, where I really needed it is in cases where I'm looking for, as they say, this metadata that Ms. Bumani is also going to talk about, the cross data from data from transfers across accounts. When you start serving the banks with that, you know, it's not so easy then to say, no, he hasn't got the account, yes, he has an account, yes, the bank statements. Now it becomes intricate. It's not so easy anymore. And that is where sometimes they need pushing to say, I'm looking for this, please, you know, supply. In that sense, I can also say to you that should you want that cross-transfer data, I don't want to use smart words. It's yeah, but that, as I'm saying, it's NEP's contract, yeah. But what I'm saying, you need to understand what it is. In other words, a person has transferred money from one of his accounts to another, to maybe another, and from that one to this one, and from this one to that one. The other place where you will use that is where a person is supposed to pay maintenance. Mr. Piet Pompies is supposed to pay maintenance. Okay? To Mrs. Sari Marie. Mrs. Sari Marie receives the money, but not from Mr. Piet Pompies, from Mrs. Angela Lansbury. There. So now, in Mrs. Sari Marie's account, there's a bank account or a POP, a proof of payment, that says Angela Lansbury has paid the maintenance. Right? That allows for you to investigate that account. To say, I'd like to see this bank statements because the maintenance was paid from there. Right? How is it that he's got access to her bank statements paying his maintenance? Right? So when it comes to information like that, now the banks are going to say to you, but it's not his accounts. Right? No, it isn't. I know that. But what I'm saying to you is, look, here is the POP. He has the money, the maintenance money has been transferred from that account. I want to know who this account belongs to. Okay? Because sometimes you can't see. So when you're trying to get data like that, That is where the banks do not make good on your subpoenas. They will try and, see if they can get out of there for one or other reason. Because now it becomes intricate. It's not the person mentioned as the respondent in the maintenance plan. And I get the idea they get a bit iffy because of that. I'm not sure whether others have got experience that they can share.
Now, I've had a matter like that, I think it was last year, where this gentleman, he was a member of a fund administered by NBC. But when the maintenance officer drafted the order, she got the information from the respondent that this is where his money is held. And we thought that it was his account.
Oh,
So I didn't, at this moment in time, I couldn't proofread. Normally I proofread the orders. I couldn't proofread, I had to serve this document because they said to me that the money was imminent to be paid, etc. Served it and the bank couldn't make good on the order in terms of payment. What's happening here, guys? Then we established that no, this account is not. So what they did was they put it was Sigma Financial Institution or something along those lines, who the account holder was and not the respondent. And they bank informed that they couldn't make this payment because it wasn't an investment account held by them in the favor of the respondent.
yes.
But it was actually a separate investment account by an entity.
Yes.
So I had to follow these breadcrumbs back to NBC and say, oh, okay, so this is the investment portfolio which NBC has.
Yes.
So now let's change our port order.
Yeah.
Let's cite the Sigma Financial Investment
Yeah.
as the second respondent
Yeah.
and instruct them to pay
Yeah.
as opposed to net bank paying because
Yeah.
primarily it was net
Yeah.
bank. So they do make good, it's just that your wording must be specific to give them direction.
Now, I had huge problems in cases like these. The other issue is also that that POP does not indicate the bank account number. And the moment I ask for that, it's as if the bank starts ducking and diving. So now I need to keep them on terms so that I can say you're going to have to report to court to explain to me what's going on here if you cannot supply the information correctly.
So I had that specific case, that instance with FNB, where there was this transaction which took place, and it was a Section 31 matter, and we wanted to know this transaction, which is not clear, where's this money going to?
Yes.
Because it doesn't tell us.
Yes. People, and that is also this contra data. You're looking for information of a specific transfer. You see in the respondent's bank account, yes, he's received a lot of pension and he made a transfer of 600,000 somewhere, but you don't know where. If you now want to ask the bank, where did that money go? That is what we're talking about here. And that is that your Section 8 should be, looked in a very specific manner, and you should also keep the bank on terms.
So we then, when identifying that transaction now, or wanting more information about it, the primary subpoena didn't suffice because the primary subpoena spoke to one account, which was the respondent. Now there's this separate thing altogether. So we supplement that with an additional provisional subpoena or order, etc. For the bank now to zoom in on this transaction.
Absolutely, you're going to have to do this.
Tell us to which account was this transfer.
Yeah.
Then we establish, okay, so this went to a standard bank account. That's the account number,
Yes.
standard bank. Now issue another one.
Yeah,
to standard
exactly.
Bank. Standard bank tell us who's the account holder of this account.
Yeah, correct.
And then so.
Yeah, but then you have to keep the bank on very specific terms because they're not going to come back to you. Because it's now starting to get intricate. It's not the respondent. And you also have to put your people, there's 3 Section 8s. The third one speaks to that. You're going to have to not mention the respondent there. You need to, obviously you put the respondent up in the top. But then you just say you want bank statements from this this account or something like that. Your indication must not mention the respondent as the account holder. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. The specific one, the bank account was no longer in his, well, no, I lied. It was a company of this guy. and he transferred it to his new wife, the company. So I was still wanted the company accounts because you could clearly see that he was just replacing himself with her. You know, he was just trying to hide behind this front, if I can put it that way. So I wanted bank statements of that company still. But the company was no longer in his name. So you have to put it like that, like the third subpoena, so that you don't mention his name there. Otherwise, they will tell you that the name and the account does not correspond and we're not giving you anything. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they're probably still going to come back to you to say this bank account does not belong to the respondent. Then you need to tell them, I'm aware of that. However, because of A, B, and C, I'm looking for that information because I can connect the dots, if I can put it that way. There. Are you guys with me on your third section 8? Okay. So you need to put it like that so that you can see in relation to subpoenas number 1 and 2. You will see that I've mentioned the specific respondent again in my request. However, I did not mention the respondent again in my request because that bank account was from an entity that was no longer belonging to the respondent. But I could still link it with other evidence to that business. Yeah.
It is the job of the MI to analyze statements or to collect bank statements.
Is to collect, I will analyze.
So meaning that the one that drafts the section 8.
Should be, but I have a problem in Pietermaritzburg that I've got 2 MOs with 40 cases between them a day. They don't have time to go to a toilet, let alone draw up anything else. So if I cannot rely on my expert maintenance investigators with 20 years experience, I have a problem. I have
For me,
explained
it's not a, it looks about it more. I need to understand, the standardized duties or responsibilities of an MI. Whether one has 20 or 1 year. Right? Because we find that certain offices, they will say, because the MO has so many cases on this table, so therefore the MI draft the section. Now this is about the legal document.
true, I still sign it. I will check it.
No, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
This legal document, right, will go to that financial institution. But because the MO has so many cases on these tables, he doesn't have time to go through.
No, he must go to it. It's his responsibility. The moment he puts the signature.
Where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Right? So I understand. So as I'm listening, because now it gives that as an MI that before you set an account.
Let me explain to you in the way that I know best. Maybe Dion can help me again. Who still needs?
You mind if I unpack that one?
No, I will do that myself. Thank you. As I'm saying, I will explain it to you in the best way I know. When you arrive as a prosecutor, you work with various police officers. Some of them just started. The murder and robbery guys has got 20 years experience. Okay. Is there some more copies necessary of the last 4 pages? Some of them have got, your murder and robbery guys have got 20 years experience. For the guys that just started, prosecuting guided investigations, maintenance matters is the same. Then, maintenance officer should guide. Then, you know that. There's no difference between a criminal matter and a maintenance matter. Both should be guided by the prosecutor or the maintenance officer. However, for my guys that have just started, I need to put in my ACLA. Get the statement of the witness mentioned by the only statement in the case docket of the eyewitness. There were some other, he mentions 2 or 3 other people who were at the scene. Then send the firearm to ballistics. Get the DNA report submitted to blah, blah, blah. You put that down for an investigator who's just started yesterday like that as a prosecutor. Because as a prosecutor, you're supposed to guide investigations, it's your job. However, I do not need to add anything for a murder and robbery policeman because he's got 20 years experience. You will go with it like that. I do not need to instruct. There is no difference, in my view, between you and those investigators. None. It works the same. The law reads the same. It's prosecutor guided. It's maintenance officer guided. But there's no way a prosecutor can guide each and everything that needs to be done in the police docket, one by one, for every single case that exists in this country. It is not possible. Hence, people take initiative and they proceed. And that is how I explained it to my maintenance officer with 20 years experience. I expect you to run with it because you've got the experience. I will, if you want to know something that you're unsure of, you're most welcome to pop into my office and keep up. And for the one that I've just started, no problem. You need guiding, all along. I'm going to have to make time somewhere to sit with you and to guide you. No problem. But I cannot guide a person with 20 years experience. And that person needs to work with me. Those policemen, they come with the Section 205 subpoenas to me. I don't draw that up. They draw that up.
Yes.
Policemen draw the Section 205 for me. I just read through it because I need to acquaint myself. It's the same with the charge sheet or with a maintenance, anything that you hand up to a magistrate in a maintenance matter. As a maintenance officer, you need to acquaint yourself that that information is correct because you cannot tell the magistrate, the maintenance investigator draw it up for me always because he's going to kill you on the spot in any way. I don't think they do that still, but in my days they did. They would have thrown you with something on the bench if you told them that. So you cannot hide behind the fact that it's your duty to make sure that it's correct and that you need to go through that before you sign it. However, I can also tell you that all along, and ever since I've started as a prosecutor, you can ask a clerk to draw up a charge sheet for you. You could have always done that.
Yeah.
The clerk of the court would have drawn up you say, draw up a summons for me in this case file. And you send the case file there, the police docket, and the clerk needs to draw that up. Yes, because you can. It's an administrative function. Yes, I need to read through that charge sheet before it's signed because that summons needs to be signed by the prosecutor before it goes out, as far as I can remember. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But so you need to acquaint yourself that the clerk hasn't made a mistake.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why you cannot ask a person with administrative duties to do that on your behalf, double check it, sign it, and have it sent out by that person. And this is how I understand maintenance to be as well. Do you want to add something?
Explain it.
All right.
Well, Section 54(1), you just need to look at when we as prosecutors deal with it. Section 54(1) of the Criminal Procedure Act says that we as prosecutors will then give the file to the clerk and tell the clerk, complete the J605. All we need to do is just give the address. We are not going to complete the charge sheet and all of that. All we do is we say, this is the address, please summon this person. That's in terms of Section 54(1) of the Criminal Procedure Act. Similar procedure when we do PGI. We're just going to say, this is what we want, and we expect that the clerk will know what to do. In the same way, we expect the maintenance investigator to know what they
There's no reason for you to get the instruction on each and everything you do. I will submit that that's a misunderstanding of the law, and I will refer back to criminal for my support. Because if it's not necessarily in criminal, why will it be necessarily maintenance? I mean, criminal is far more strict with regard of proof and what attorneys can throw into the works, the spanners that they can throw in, than maintenance. Far more. Look, I understand that you're busy. I do appreciate that. I understand that you're inundated and probably overworked and underpaid, no two ways about it. But please do not hide behind, how do I put it? You need to assist wherever you can. Let me put it that way. Even though you are inundated, because so am I. I will never ask of you anything that, if I've got spare time on hand, I'll do it myself. Let me put it that way. I've always been a prosecutor like that. If I've got spare time, I will not ask you. I will ask you only when I do not have really, when I'm so inundated that I don't know how else am I going to get through this. I will not burden anybody else more than what I will burden myself. Okay, I appreciate maybe not everybody's like that. And maybe somebody will find a scapegoat to inundate with work whilst they're sitting twiddling their fingers. But then, surely you should speak up. Yes, Stephen?
What I do in the Western Cape, and I hope that the other provinces are doing it too, if I get a request from a maintenance investigator that they need assistance with whatever, then I will not identify you as the investigating officer. I'll take that out and I'll send it to all the investigating officers. This is a request that I got. This is the problem that you're struggling with. This is the help that you need. Here are the case law. Here's the authority that I base it on. What is your opinion? I'm not the only one that have all the knowledge. Obviously, you also have knowledge. So what I expect it is to be a type of a two-way where I share my information
Two-way street.
and you share yours with me, and then I send it to all. So all of you are on my or email base where I will send information almost that I send something, but I always try to make sure that I get my information to you and you get information to me that you are struggling with, and that way we try to cross-pollinate one another and get that information out to one another. But if any of you have a problem, just email me and then we can assist one another. It's no use you're sitting with a problem and the case file or the maintenance file is lying for months in front of you. I remember Natalie had a problem a few years ago, sorry that I an old thing, where the attorney had a problem with the service of a document to him. Then I said, okay, if you have a fax, give us the fax number, then we do a regulation 26. But that's the way we will cross-pollinate one another. After that, I used that one of Natalie and send it to all the other investigating officers. Listen, if you have this problem in future, then just ask the employer or the attorney, do they have a fax number? And then we will fax it that way. If we struggle to get hold of the respondent, or if we struggle to get hold of the employer, or whatever the case might be. But that's the way we are going to cross-pollinate.
It's one hand wash the other. It is a question of we should be helping one another. Obviously, as I'm saying, I will be irked if I'm an investigator and my maintenance officer gives me instruction to draw up a section 8 subpoena whilst he's drinking his tea. That will be an issue for me. I can tell you straight. Definitely it will. But we need to assist one another here in trying to bring the service to the people to the best of our ability.
Just a recommendation. It was Mr. Dose that asked that question.
Yeah.
Okay. So your subpoena is exactly as my subpoena looks like. It's not one page in the office. We just have like blank lines for you to include whatever information you are looking for and the respective entities that you are wanting this information from. So what I'm going to recommend you do is use this as a template, leave blank spaces for the information that you want to add, give a copy to your MP, your MO, and then keep one for yourself. The reason I'm saying this is because the primary investigation, I said this to Steph last night when we were sitting at supper, starts with your MO in terms of section 6.1, when that person has to investigate that complaint.
Yeah.
Then from there, it goes to a 7.2 investigation by the maintenance officer. Then from there, the maintenance officer can instruct you with 7.3, etc. So if your maintenance officer is sitting with that clients in their office in the section 6 inquiry and wants information that they need to receive, whether it be the applicant's bank details, she might not have money to get all the bank statements that this guy says he paid money for a length of period, then now the maintenance officer can quickly draft this because they're going to go to court and submit this to the magistrate to get that the section inside. Same with your maintenance prosecutor. If they have this readily available, most offices, they might not have that. It might not be the case for your office, but some other offices don't have that, right? And then for yourself, the reason I'm saying for you to have it, because you're going to be the recipient of the information that is sought. Now, for you to determine whether they have satisfactorily supplied the information sought, you have to actually look at it. Instead of just giving your maintenance officer these bank statements and then come the court date, which is a couple of weeks away, you find out, no, but they didn't give you it. So you have to scrutinize that information. Right? Now, if you pick up, there was money on this date, right? I'm going to draft according to that
Yes,
information
indeed.
and then bring it to the
I need us to work like that.
So to speak to, from a practical sense, what you were saying, just to add on to it.
Maybe you glance through and see, oh, 600,000, 400,000, let's find out whether.
Because I will already tell my MO, look, MO, you're applying for future maintenance. However, money was paid already on the 1st of January. Your statement ends at the 30th of April. It's depleted. However, I've seen a transfer on the 5th of March. It might tell me the account that it was transferred.
It might be
might
investment
not.
account and it's there.
Then now I'll say, okay, let's draft an order or a subpoena in which we are asking for that specific transaction to be explained to us and where the money went to the account.
Indeed.
So it's not.
No, it's very important because you cannot wait that time because meanwhile the money is being depleted. The other thing that I can also say is remember what I started off saying this morning. As you go along and you work and yes, I understand that you actually many a time doing the job of the maintenance officer or even I do appreciate. However, I started off this morning to say, don't stay where you are. So I hope that you can take some of this to become more and then to be able to say, I've worked with this. And hence I've got experience in A, B, and C, and D, and therefore I'd like to apply for this position because I now have the qualification. Okay? So also remember that when you apply for other posts whilst I'm at that, tweak your CV that it suits the requirements of that post. You can't throw one after the other CV through after post, after post, after post. Then you're wasting paper and other people's time. Now, let me tell you straight. You're not going to get it. You need to read the advert, see what the requirements are. I'm not saying a lie on your CV. Don't misinterpret me. I'm saying put your experience and emphasize the experience that speaks to the requirements of that specific post you are applying for. That's why you're not getting shortlisted. It's because you are not tweaking your CVs according to the requirements and putting emphasis on what is required. 4 years maintenance experience. I have started here on this date and I have now got so many years of experience. You put that out in the CV, proper. Not a long 14-page story as possible, but let your CV speak to the requirements. You always read the requirements. And you double check your applications and your CVs that all the I's are dotted and the T's crossed. You make sure it's all signed and correctly completed because that's the quickest they drop a CV from a shortlist is when there's a mistake on there. And don't lie, because if you're caught out, that's it. And your reputation is going to follow you. All right? So use that productively. We all have been there where we have supported other people in their work without any pay. I think nobody sitting in this room hasn't done that yet. I'm speaking under correction, but it doesn't look like it. Yeah. All right? So use that to your advantage to learn how things work and apply for higher positions. Go for it. Get your qualifications and apply. Okay. All right. So is there something more on the section 8? As I'm saying, specifically with that cross-transaction data, because that's a better word for me than NEPS contra, because it doesn't say anything to me. In fact, I can't find even what it stands for. I don't understand why I can't find information on that. But in any way, I need to chat to this guy of FNB proper. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just ask you, has a magistrate ever refused to sign or to authorize a Section 8 subpoena if you don't have prima facie proof that the person does in fact have a bank account at that bank? Because one magistrate has once told me, do you have proof or do you have maybe an indication that he does have a bank account there? Because they don't, he said,
Yeah, he says it's a
not a
fishing
fishing expedition. Only one magistrate has ever done that. Has anybody
In
ever
criminal,
done
it's strict because you can't go on a fishing expedition.
Yeah.
That's strike law. But this is not criminal, it's maintenance and it's best interest of the child. So I argue best interest of the child in circumstances to say your applicant doesn't know, but seemingly he's working and he is getting money somewhere. Although then, but although I saw a salary advice the other day without the banking details. The salary advisors should be able to have the banking details.
Those are the because
Mine has.
I was
Mine has.
Yeah.
Ours has. But I've seen one now, 3 days ago, that does not have banking details on. Because the lady asked, can this help? Say again? Oh,
Look, to answer Natalie's concern in regards to that specific magistrate, right? You have to bring the magistrate back to the understanding of what the Section 6 is all about. That the maintenance officer is investigating the complaint that this person is got a legal liability to maintain this child.
Yeah.
So now, how does the maintenance officer go about investigating that complaint, right? We have to understand that
You
these
ask
applicants-
around.
Yeah, ask around. These applicants, best case scenario, will have information. Worst case scenario,
Nothing.
will know the nickname by
Yes.
which they met this person.
Yeah.
They won't even know the real name. So
No,
it's just to
it's-
sensitize the magistrate as to those aspects. And like
Yeah,
you were saying,
that it's not a criminal matter, and hence fishing expedition does not apply per se. In fact, I'll go as far as to say to the magistrate, your worship, with respect, or Mania, a maintenance matter is actually a fishing expedition from both myself and you into the financial affairs of both parties. That is what the law says, which we're supposed to fish and fish deep so that we can unearth whatever they try not to tell us.
because that bank statement won't just give you the financial transactions, but it will give you
Expenditure as well.
expenditure.
Yeah, it will give you a lot of things. Yeah, no, indeed, sir. But I think, with the fact that you are arguing the best interest of the child, you should come by. Yeah? Best interest of the child was, the other day some other magistrate phoned me and he said to me, can I do this? So I said to him, you know what, for me, the best interest of the child, you can just do virtually everything. There's very little you can't do with arguing the best interest of the child. Because that is, it is supported by the Constitution. Indeed. Okay.
But one thing I could mention about the Section 9 subpoena, the 130 and the brother 126 and the cousin, the regulation 30 and the subpoena. After you've exhausted the resolution of the result in the inquiry, normally section order is issued.
You see, that's incorrect.
Incorrect.
Because people do not understand the Section 6 correctly, in that Section 6 says you shall investigate. So you cannot say, I've tried to investigate, so therefore I issue a subpoena. Because that's what you do if you've exhausted Regulation 3 and you don't get information. And you go immediately to a subpoena. Then you haven't investigated. You've tried to investigate. And you haven't succeeded, and you issued a subpoena. That's not what Section 6 says. It says you shall investigate. It doesn't say exhaust investigation. That's the other thing I want to make pretty clear. It says you shall investigate, but on the other hand, it doesn't say exhaust investigations. But you must have something with regards to income and expenditure of both parties. Because otherwise, how are you going to measure what people come and tell you are the truth or not? And this has been emphasized by judges as well, that refers inquiry matters back to maintenance courts, where they say there was no documentation on the file. How did you come to this decision? So understand that you need to investigate one way or another. You can investigate by calling the people in and say, give me your bank statements, give me your invoices for both parties. And you do that with the regulations.
Regulation.
Yeah. But if they don't give you, if yeah, I come and I say, oh no, I forgot my document. You need to find another way. You can't immediately say, well, here's your subpoena. How are you going to know whether I'm lying about my income or whether I'm telling the truth? You're going to have to accept what I'm saying. And obviously, I'm going to lie 10,000 Rand a month down, if not 20 or 30. But because you won't know.
Sure.
And that is not in the best interest of the government. So you still need to investigate. And that is where I'm saying, now you're going to jump in with the Section 8 subpoena to say, banks, tell me whether Stefani has got an account at your bank. Or, if you know the employer, send me his payslip. Because between the banks and the payslip, it will give you some indication of my income and expenditure. So you will have something to measure whether I'm lying or telling the truth to you. Okay? And then you can issue a subpoena, no problem. Because you've got some information of myself on file, with regards to my income expenditure. But you cannot just because you did not succeed on a regulation 3, getting anything from me because I strolled in there and I tell you I have a problem.
You ask me where you're going to. You start to go and waiting for you.
You can do that as well. No problem there. I'm standing down till 2 o'clock. Print me. Oh, I came without my invoices. Okay, where's your invoices? No, on my email. Right. Send it to me. I'll print it from my computer. Then stand there with your phone. Send it through. Let me print. These people, there's many ways. Yes, Martin, indeed. You don't need. The aim is that you get the documentation. Yeah? And you know now the regulation 3 does not say that you have to serve somebody. You can ask that information in any way you deem fit if you're a maintenance officer, which many of you do stand in for on any given day probably. So you can say, how I need that information from you, send it to me. That's why I'm saying, if you've got a respondent in Pretoria, send him an email. Sir, you can come down or you can save money, send me a payslip or send me 3 months bank statements. And then I can issue a subpoena. I can send it to you via email. You can perhaps agree because I can make a kind of a ballpark as to what will be a reasonable amount of maintenance for you to pay. And you can decide on that from there. And you can sign a consent from there. So you don't even need to come down. And we want to take into consideration your income and expenditure because we need to be fair to both parties. And it saves you both parties being there in front of you verbally.
If a person doesn't respond on a directive, means the person of the directive, in terms of the practice, there's a fee that is issued after the directive has been ignored.
That's not true. That's what I've been trying to tell you the past 10 minutes. It's not correct.
It's not correct.
It's not correct. What you're trying to get with the directive is information. They can email it to you, no problem. They can give it to you in hand, no problem. Like Martin said, go away from here, go to the bank, get me your bank statements. I'm waiting for you. 2 o'clock, you're back.
Stefan, can I suggest something? And it's far-fetched. I just thought that you send it to the guy's email or his WhatsApp, and I promise you, 80% of the time you are so lucky to be via WhatsApp. I promise you that you can be sitting in Spain or wherever.
Yeah.
And I send it via WhatsApp and man makes contact with me immediately.
Yeah.
It's one of the best
Send on.
ways.
Yeah, screenshot.
So we can make use of, now I'm going to ask you, what's the possibility, those big offices that has a high volume of investigation, having a peer with the investigators, once they come in, because you can stack loads of directors coming to you, scan it because you can just scan it to them and send it to them via WhatsApp. It's going to be so much.
There's no problem with that. You can give a regulation-free directive in any way you deem fit. né? This is really part of the maintenance officer's course. It's not really part of this one, but I know I've discussed it the past 2 weeks, both weeks. I get questions about the regulation free. It is in any way you deem fit, as long as you print it. What I do with my WhatsApp conversations, I take screenshots and I email it to my work email and I print it and I put it on file. Yeah. But Dion, maybe Mr. Parker's recommendation for big offices to have assistance in some way. I know it's, but you know, the regional head is always, supportive of how you can make maintenance matters easier. He likes doing that. I know him as a person like that, to be on the forefront of new development. I think that's a suggestion you can make too.
Especially with bank statements, what we're having now is prosecutors, the new prosecutors for court one, for the criminal court, they want subpoenas on all the banks. So you still with loads of banks.
Yeah.
So you're entering the criminal court and the inquiry court.
Yeah.
So two courts have to serve this. And when it comes to criminal cases in people's bank, we got stack loads.
I can imagine.
And to keep track of that,
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
No, I totally. I think that's a great idea. Maybe run that via the regional head. Say that was coming from Mr. Parker as a recommendation. I think that's wonderful. But then, get somebody that can. But I think that was a recommendation from here as well with regards to ICMS as well. Get some admin support for those functions.
Okay.
Because it's taking time away from the investigators.
Actually, what you say, not only the big officers, the two officers
So
are also, are already doing, because in those days, the clerks did everything. So when that complaint comes or that applicant comes in, you inform the respondent immediately, you give the date and you WhatsApp, phone or email or whatever is the response, you attach.
Absolutely.
So we are doing, or some officers, they are doing that.
Yes, because you know what?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is they're also doing it, but it's a massive administrative operation now that warrants maybe a clerk being appointed at a lower salary that can do that can give them time to do other more intricate things.
You need to follow up with your bank statements and all of it in our office.
No, I can imagine. As I'm saying, I'm having trouble following up on the 3 or 4 that I'm having, so I don't know how you're doing it. That's why I was asking this one. See. Okay. Guys, can I step off section 8? Because I also obviously everybody now have got this contact details list. I hope you can use that productively. I think Ms. Muthi has done very well. I think it is a work in progress. She is at Maritzburg office. She's P. Moodley. P.E. Moodley. No, P.E. Moodley. She's P.E. Moodley at justice.gov.za. Keep in contact with her. The list is a work in progress. I've got her permission to reproduce it and submit it to you. But as I say, she works on that all the time. She's been working on that ever since she started the audit.
I can just say that Geraldine Williams have a similar list in the province. I've got all the email addresses. I'll send it to all of you.
Okay.
And then we can maybe...
Yes, because there's probably more provincial stuff on there, like there is on here for KZN. Okay, I think that will be fabulous. Thank you, Dion, for that. Okay, guys. The other things on that pack of mine, as I'm saying, I'm not reporting that my section 8s are the be all and the end all. I can tell you already that there's a problem with which one? Well, I've forgotten something. I think it's the one on the. No, I can't remember. One of them is short of information. You can critique them and tell me tomorrow what you want to add there.
Could you tweak it according to your respective?
Yeah, I know, but I know I've tried to put everything in here. The one thing I can tell you, the first one for the banks, When you say give bank statements of Stefani Erasmus, they're going to give you my personal account only, finish and club. They're not going to give you my credit card, they're not going to give you my 2 savings accounts, they're not going to give you anything else. They're going to give you my personal account and that's it. So you need to ask for the others. However, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me. If you ask them like this in a bundle, you also don't get it. I suggest you ask him, one by one. Give me his credit card, and especially if most people have got credit cards. Perhaps at least do one for a personal account and for a credit card.
I'll explain to you the specific words I use to get all the accounts. So I'll say, kindly provide bank statements for the period 1 January 2023 to date for any and all accounts held within your establishment by the respondent, Mr. XYZ, with ID number ABC.
You see, but they're still not going to give you his company account.
No, they give me everything. They give me every single one. Because I've asked for.
But okay, I haven't done this in a long time. When I asked, they only sent me personal still, it was FNB. And then I knew about the other, so I said, where's the credit card? Where's this? Where's that?
Yeah, also, what guys must keep in mind is that sometimes at the opposite end, you would think there's a competent and knowledgeable person, right? But they, in most cases, are not. How many legal advisors can't even read a court order? Because the court order will say in the final clause, once payment is made, the first respondent may resume activities, home is released, right? Then you find the guy comes back to you after a month. Why did my council frozen? The matter was resolved then. I said, no, but
but they've never.
Then I must go back and say, guys, you still hold this account. Please refer to clause.
That's indeed the case. Not everybody is knowledgeable, and I agree with you because the other day I had a similar issue with Old Mutual and the future maintenance order, where I said to them, pay future maintenance on behalf of the respondent, the monthly amount to the whole, keep the money, Old Mutual, and from there pay the monthly maintenance. And they said to me, they can't pay future maintenance. And I had the matter set down already, I was already arranged to go, and I had it served properly on them. Who did that for me? Geraldine, didn't you do that?
Natalie.
Natalie. Ek nou julle twee die mekaar. Geraldine dat jy dat.
Might have been.
Anyway, I think Geraldine served it for me on Old Mutual. And I had it set down, and when the guy said to me, we don't pay future maintenance, I said to him, Mugadi versus Beacon Suites, that's what I'm asking you to do. Yeah. Oh, no problem.
Yeah, no.
But that's what I asked.
Yeah.
But they did not understand. So you need to also sometimes, level with the person just a little, not do what I do and do as I say, not jump to conclusions like me, and want to be all over them, but talk to them nicely to say, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell you to pay according to the referred case law. Is there an issue? No, there's no issue. Oh, is that what you want? Alright. So, sometimes just, talk a bit, as I say, don't do like I do, like I say. Okay.
I copy and paste your email.
Say again, Martin?
I copy and paste your email.
How far? Anyway, okay. Let's see. Okay, so that's the section 8, people. I just want to finish here before tea. What I've also got for you there, obviously, is the maintenance regulations. Chapter 4, powers of a maintenance investigator. Regulation 23A. I hope you are all aware of that you can engage the services of SAPS when you are experiencing difficulties. You need to know where to find this law. It is Regulation 23A. It is just after the subpoenas, guys. Just after the subpoenas. I think it's a little bit prior to that. One more. Yeah, it's this one. It's Regulation 23A. The fact that you know that you must have your letter of appointment. You can have a letter of appointment with you on a letterhead. You don't need an ID card, and if somebody queries that, it is Regulation 23A. And I printed it out for you from the regulations. Right? That is that. And then you may, for the purpose of performing your functions, examine any person who is likely to give material information. In other words, you can take a sworn affidavit. Hello, Monica, come please take a seat. You can examine any person who is likely to give material or relevant information, and you can direct a person to identify himself or herself to the satisfaction, and you can request for a signature. Okay? That is all within your duties in terms of Regulation 23A, together with the fact that you can ask the police to assist you when you are going to experience or anticipate that you will experience a problem, or if you see you picking up trouble, you can go away and go to the closest police station and engage services of the police officer. People, really, I think you should carry a copy along with you so that you can refer the police to this, because I'm not sure that they always understand that that is their duties. Also to take this up in your case flow management meetings with your station commissioner, so that they are aware that they need to assist you in this regard as per the law. Okay? And then also that you in that same case flow management meeting, if you haven't got that yet, maybe have one specific police officer that signs for your warrants. I don't know how you do that, but that is what I recommend. If you're not doing it that way,
Cape Town was of the station that signed officers that.
you'll be surprised how many people don't. Anyway, that's why I'm saying. So if you don't, and you arrange in your case flow management meetings that you've got an assigned police officer at your station who is signing for documents with regards to maintenance, so that you know who signed for it and who to go back with. That is next. So this is most important that you know that. You put that in your case flow management meetings before your magistrates and your station commissioners. Next. So I have attached that. Any adding there?
I just want to add something on to section 23, sir. Just for future reference when you do draft documents again for the other courses, just to include the consequences of non-compliance for the ignorance.
Okay, in other words, your section.
39A1.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you. I'll make a note of that. Thank you very much for that.
And that applies to internal
Yeah.
hindrance and external.
Yeah, but that's a criminal charge. In other words, you're going to have to put your sworn affidavit of what's transpired down and basically open a docket at the police station that's getting referred to the prosecutor for decision to proceed with regards to hindrance. Dion?
I haven't seen in the Western Cape any investigating officer doing it. And I've been encouraging them since the time of Clive Peterson.
Yeah.
And because Clive Peterson struggled a lot when he went to go and serve documents where the employers or the security guards hinder them and tell them they can't enter over here, or the respondent tells the security guards you don't allow any of them in here. But none of the investigating officers ever want to file a charge in terms of Section 39, and it's about time. I'm glad that you're saying it, Mr. Hockman. If
I think Dion probably, as we've heard already this morning, and we know people are inundated, so they see that as an extra burden on them, understandably so.
But the thing is, we drafted, or I drafted, a standard one where you just put in the name of the employer, and then Section 39 is already there, and then you just say that little bit what happened, the same way that you'll say in a WhatsApp message. Then there you have your standard 39 that you take to the police and start the process, because the respondents are going to keep on taking us for a ride if we're not going to do something about it. I'm glad you're doing it, but I know in the Western Cape, I haven't heard.
Years ago, I think it was prior to you taking up this position, I assisted Ms. Williams because she had a problem at one of the Transnet buildings in the Foreshore area.
Yeah.
Where the security specifically did not want her to enter.
Yes.
To go and serve process.
Yeah.
So via telephone, I already informed her that, look, explain this to them. This is a hindrance and there's consequences for it.
Yeah.
Once she did that, she was granted access, and then I believe it's the same with the Department of Education to some extent in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
But I believe that to be smooth the process now.
Yeah.
I just think Parliament still needs to be sensitized to that because
Yes.
they still have their issues. However,
Yeah.
if I was stationed in the Western Cape, that would not be an issue because we have escaped legislature. I've never ever, in all my years of being an investigator, not been able to access the premises or gather information simply because of the knowledge of the consequences for those things.
Yes.
So that's why I was saying to Steph that if she includes it for the other courses,
Yeah.
or if she disseminates that information post this course,
Yeah.
that will help the guys.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason why I'm saying internal hindrance, because as you know from the Bloemfontein, I was not at the Bloemfontein thing, but you know, people emphasize their frustration.
Yeah.
So once all the relevant stakeholders are sensitized to the consequences and expected of these things,
Yeah.
then you'll see the doors opening for you much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. If there are some of you that would like to get a copy of the affidavit that I drafted, then I'll send it to all over here. And then all you need to do is just add the part where you are being hindered or being stopped or something is happening when you get to that employer. Then you just add that part because I already put in section 39, I already put everything in. And then take it or to the police and just let us start something. Because if we're going to start and make an example of one of them and make sure that we get it into the newspapers or somewhere, then they will stop taking us for a ride because I see what the employers and the respondents are doing to us and just don't care. And it's about time that we use Section 39, as Ricardo said, in these type
I
of
think there
matters.
were two remarks here in the front and Martin at the back, please.
I think most of them just have seen this type of calls. I used to write for okay, and sort of how 2 years later. Security in full motivation, all the guys that are paid. Know that the bank really was because the members are complaining that now that we work because of the company. And it took 2.5 years. You saw that story.
But you see, that's in cases like that, we should criminal charges. It's unacceptable.
Security in the shop.
Yeah.
It took our chief magistrate.
That is hindrance. Absolutely. Martin? Oh, you covered. Okay, people, can I just point out that there was a couple of people that came in a little late, that I get information now from everybody with regards to IDC and ID cards, 2 pieces of paper from all. Is there anybody that has not given me that I have not talked to? Ach, Dion, weet jy nie daar verduidelik wat is nodig?
Well, okay, ek sal vra vir them.
Okay, guys, I just want to finish then. That one is then regulation 23. Let me stand the service over, although you should know that by now. Let me stand the service at the J2, the section 236, and then the investigators. Your reporting lines. Let me stand that over. Let's take tea. Half past back, please. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would get it to give them a